I'm Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. Happy Saturday. Okay, this blog is going to be positive for the most part, but unfortunately I'm going to have to start off with a little bit of a darker, ominous here warning and some of my advice to help get you guys through this. So it's fall 2023 here. I think, most people would tell you, the economy is starting to slow. The interest rates are starting to take effect here. The whole goal of that was to slow the economy, to bring inflation down. A lot of that still hasn't been fully felt. A lot of those interest rate hikes they were doing last year even still have not taken their full effect yet. And who knows, we might get a couple more quarter points. I know there's a lot of people out there on my blog here that want these interest rates to keep going up indefinitely, but which I think would be a mistake. I think the Bank of Canada and the Fed in the US is pretty much on pause mode now. We might get another quarter point here or there. They're always going to stay incredibly hawkish. Remember that. Hawkish meaning they'll always leave the door open for more hikes, and they'll be data dependent. Because if they ever, for God forbid, said we're dovish and that's it, and we're going to stop raising and we're going to start lowering rates next year or early next year, watch out. Stock markets would go on an epic rip. Everything would rip. Real estate, you name it. So they're always going to keep a hawkish tone with that. But as we move into the fall here and winter and into next year, I think, guys, we're going to be in for some hard times here for the next couple years. We're going to be into some challenging times. We're still got the effects of COVID. We haven't felt the full effects of these interest rate hikes. Those still have to come. You're going to see the economy slowing. I'm pretty certain, going to be in a recession here in Canada if we aren't already. I think we're going to slip into one later this fall or into the winter. I don't think it's going to be a severe recession. I think they're going to fall into one in the US as well. I'm already seeing a lot of signs of it. I was traveling a lot this summer, and you can already see what's kind of happening, especially in the States. Businesses have closed down. There's several businesses in Santa Monica and Venice, California that have been in business for 15, 20 years. A supplement store that I used to frequent in Venice, I noticed just closed up when I was down there last month. The signs are all there. Things are slowing, but I want to give you guys a heads up on this stuff. It's going to be some trying times here, but like I always do, I give you guys the silver lining here. You can take advantage of these tough times if you just focus on the right things. And what I mean by that is I think you're just going to have to keep your head down, keep working, focus on your goals, and don't worry about the things, which is most of the stuff you see in the media, you have no control over. Things like the economy and oil prices and interest rates and job growth and housing market and all that other stuff. Instead, focus on the things you can put your fingers on and have control over. I've talked about it many times. That's getting better and moving up the pay scale in your career. Starting your own business, starting a side hustle. With technology, the opportunities are incredible now. Start getting multiple revenue streams. This is mandatory if you've read my book. I don't know any successful people, any multimillionaires that don't have at least 3, 4, 5 revenue streams. For me, I've got 7 or 8. You want to start building up those multiple revenue streams passively. But I think you're just going to have to keep your head down here. It's a lot of negative doom and gloom that's out there, and I think it's going to get far worse. We've got elections coming up both in Canada, federal election, a provincial election in the next 18 months, election down in the United States. That's going to heat up. You're going to get all politicians promising you the world, lots of battles between parties. Again, focus on what you have control over, because I think things are going to get pretty ugly here. I think they already are starting. I feel for people right now, a lot of people that are struggling here, with inflation and the cost to eat out and the cost for gas, housing, rent. It just continues to go up. The thing that people need to realize is that, that dozen eggs, that we used to pay about $3.25 or $3.50 for, that's now $6.50. That's not going to come down once we tamper down inflation. That's done. All we're trying to do now is cool the continuing inflation rate so that those eggs don't continue to go up twofold over the next 2 years. But I think a lot of people if they're thinking that $6.50 dozen of eggs is going to go back down to $4 next year, I don't think that's going to happen. So things are going to get tough here. But focus on the stuff you have control over. A couple other tips I would give you. And I'm going to do another blog on, staying in shape. I have a lot of people that want to know my workout routine and my diet and that kind of stuff. And I'll give you guys, a full blog on that later this fall. I've done a few on it over the years. But I would say focus on the things you have control over. Staying in shape. Tune out all the mainstream media. I've told you guys, I cut the cable on my TV 10 years ago. I listen to virtually no mainstream media. It's just a waste of time. It's garbage. I'm seeing that all these legacy media businesses like CNN are slowly going out of business. Doesn't surprise me. People are getting smart now. They're starting to tune all that stuff out. A lot of it was just, it's a fear-based form of media to get you engaged so you'll keep coming back and listening to it more. Tune out a lot of that stuff. That'll help your mental psyche a great deal. Try and stay in shape, get an exercise regimen together, try and get lots of sleep. But I do think things are going to get pretty tough here moving forward. But, you can capitalize on these things. As I speak, there's some really great values in stodgy old Canadian dividend payers. Things like the Bell Canadas and the TELUS and the Enbridge and the Canadian banks. They're trading at not just 52-week lows, multi-year lows, and their yields now are incredible. Upwards of 5.5%, 6.5%. The reason for that, of course, is there was a massive sell-off in these. People got out of the equities and went into safe bets, term deposits, GICs, treasury bills, that kind of stuff. But those aren't going to stay at that 5.5% interest rate very long. Those are going to start coming down next year. That's why you have to zig while everyone else is zagging. You buy these companies when they're at multi-year lows and yielding you 6%, because in another year and a half, everyone's going to pile back into those names and you're going to get it all back up in capital appreciation. You guys do your due diligence on it, but I see really good value in that. I'm going to do more blogs on investing in real estate. I think there's some incredible opportunities right now where units where you had to get into crazy bidding wars on now, you could probably buy without a bidding war. I've had a lot of them this past summer and early fall. Sure, plug your nose on the interest rates for another year or year and a half, but probably in a couple more years from now, interest rates will probably be a fair bit lower than what you're currently paying. And the big thing is, though, you can place a tenant at our current rental rates. So that 1 bedroom, 1 bath that was renting for $2,200 3 years ago, you're now getting $3,000 for. So there's opportunities out there, but keep your head down. Don't let people discourage you from getting off your game plan, and they are everywhere. Everywhere. I was on the Vancouver Sun real estate section the other day. I haven't been on there in about 6 months. And oh my God, it is nasty on there. Lots of fake news out there. The same cast of characters that have been saying that we're headed for a Vancouver real estate crash for 10 years. This guy's been on there. Meanwhile, that price of that condo is up about 50 or 60%. Sure, we get a 5 or 10% pullback one of these days. We're due for one, but you're still up 50% on it. And meanwhile, you haven't dropped that $100,000 or $150,000 in rent while you're trying to time the market. It's nuts. Tune all of that stuff out. But a couple of things here on investing too. Morgan Housel, a guy that I follow on Twitter, he wrote that book, The Psychology of Money, New York bestseller. He comes up with some great stuff on Twitter. People should follow him, Morgan Housel. He put out one the other day, the bust is only dangerous if you depend on the boom. And what he meant by that is just buying index invest. That's the first thing. He's a huge fan of just buying the S&P 500, buying the VIG, the Triple Q, which I am as well. I'll tell you guys, 50% of my portfolio is in just low-cost ETFs. But just buying quality names. You're not looking to double or triple your money in 3 years on these companies. That's a good way to lose your money. It's just slow and steady gains. And you should buy that book, The Psychology of Money. Investing is very simple. But media and these guys on Twitter and these traders will make it sound like it's very complicated when it's not. Another good quote that I came across as well was from Jerry Garcia from the Grateful Dead. And he once said that you ain't going to learn what you don't want to know. And this is this plays out in the message boards in the Vancouver Sun, the Globe and Mail, the Financial Post, and on Twitter. It's a bunch of people that don't have a clue what they're talking about. Most of them are angry. They're furious for a number of reasons. They're just angry. Life is kind of passing them by, and I feel for them in some ways. It's tough out there. But they don't want to do anything to help themselves. They just complain and point fingers and look for excuses. They don't want to learn what they don't want to know, and that would be start reading some books. Start learning how to index invest, how that's going to work for you. Start working towards saving the down payment to buy your first condo and getting out of that renter treadmill. Talk to a bank, talk to a mortgage broker. Based on your current income, how much do I need to buy a $600,000 condo? You're not going to get there unless you have the roadmap, and they will at least give you the roadmap. You're going to need 10% down, you're going to need to save $40,000, and you have to have an income of this amount to qualify. You have to know this stuff. You've got to learn this stuff. But so many people, they just stick their head in the sand and just complain and complain and complain. The world is full of complainers. You guys, it's not a good look. You guys want to do everything you can to get away from those people. I mean, there's some guys here on the Vancouver Sun that I think they need medical help, some of these people. I really do. They're just so angry, so bitter, envious, calling for a correction for 10 or 12 years now. Markets go up and markets go down. You know, we've had a good and pretty incredible run here in Vancouver real estate. We had a bit of a slowdown last winter, didn't last long, and now we've been slowing a little bit here now for summer and into early part of fall. Maybe we get a 5% correction here, 10%. A lot of it will depend on inventory. That's the big thing, because interest rates really they're done now, pretty much. If anything, they're going to start coming down next year. At least that's what the economists tell me. It's not me telling you that. So use this as an opportunity. And I've often said, never try and time a market. Once you get approved and you've got the down payment, hire a good realtor. Give me a call if it's in Vancouver or the Lower Mainland, and either me or someone on my team will take you on. Buy the right home. Don't overpay for it. And keep the damn thing. Get out of that renter treadmill. Simple as that. And it's the same thing in the stock market. Investing your money for retirement in your TFSA and your RSP. Most of you should just index invest. Just buy the XEI or the XIC in Canada. Buy the Bell Canadas, the Canadian banks. If you want to put a little mad money into some more speculative stuff in your TFSA, go ahead. That's where I've got my NVIDIAs and all my tech stuff, my Metas and my Googles that don't pay a dividend. But for the most part, the core holdings that I have, most of them pay me a nice dividend that they keep increasing. And again, I've talked to you guys, I'm not looking to hit home runs. You know, if I can get a 6 or 7, 7.5%, 8% return annually over long periods of time, I'm more than happy with that, because I'm doubling my money every 10 years. And these days, especially in Canada, getting that 7% return, most of the heavy lifting will be done by the dividend. And those dividends are pretty secure. As a matter of fact, the Canadian banks, the telcos, have all got a long track record of increasing those dividends. But learn this stuff. Again, you got to learn it. Don't be the guy, you ain't gonna learn what you don't want to know. That's not a good look, and just complaining and pointing fingers. And governments, I don't want to get on it too long here, but governments perpetuate your problems, especially socialist governments like we're in Canada right now. The Liberals, they are 100% socialist government here now, and the NDP, of course. They perpetuate your problems by telling you it's not your fault when it is your fault. It is. It's on your shoulders. They'll tell you all kinds of boogeymen. It's a new one every month. Foreign buyers, the money launderers, the realtors, the banks, the flippers, the home flippers, the interest rates, the economy. It's a new one every day. It can be done. Again, we're going to be heading into some rough waters here for the next 18 months to 2 years here. We are. We're still haven't even fully gotten out of COVID here and unwinding that mess with our interest rates and everything else here. And elections coming up in Canada, the US, federally as well as provincially. There's going to be lots of stuff going on here. Lots of pointing fingers. Lots of promises from government to help you buy a house. Don't fall for it. You're the only one that's going to buy that first house or save for retirement. It's all on your shoulders. And again, go back and watch my other Saturday blogs, buy my book, go into the back of my book and buy some of those books that I recommend you read on getting ahead here, the mental mindset you have to have. The opportunities with technology now are incredible. Just met a guy in Los Angeles not long ago. He's got a fitness website, YouTube channel, pulling down somewhere around $8,000 to $9,000 US a month on it. Started it 3 years ago. It's a sideline. It's just a sideline for this guy. He's in sales. And this is a YouTube channel that he started part-time. Lots of opportunities out there. Focus on you. Focus on getting better. Stop reading watching the news and going on. Limit your social media and all that other stuff, because it's going to be a tough go here. A lot of people are going to criticize you, put you down. It's all hope is lost. Lots of boogeymen out there but don't get into their sphere, because you see it play out in some of these message boards. Once you get into that sphere that it's not your fault and the market's going to crash 50, 60, 70%, and then you'll buy back in. Sure, you'll buy back in. There's always that one thing that these guys have missing. Even if the market does come down 20 or 30%, say it does, they're still not going to buy in. They're just missing a few key ingredients. The $150,000 down payment they're going to need, and then getting pre-qualified for the mortgage with the stress test. It's not easy these days, but it can be done. But get out of that sphere of looking for excuses and complaining. Keep your head down. And again, one of the ways, I'll do another blog later this fall, one of the best ways too to help you stay focused is get a fitness, sleep, and nutrition regimen. I've always had it. It'll help you stay the course. Stay tuned for a blog on that. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next week.